Hey, hello, leaders. This is Paul from the CLC team coming back with another episode. And today I'm going to revisit what I said I was going to revisit yesterday. Um, on Wednesday, I said I was going to talk about consistency. And today is Friday. I think it's September 8th. So, good morning if you're listening in the morning, good afternoon, good evening, or happy weekend, whatever you're listening to this. And today I'm going to talk about consistency because the other day I kind of started looking at consistency a little bit differently. And when I say this, it may hit people hard, but here's what I have to say about consistency in certain situations. Screw consistency. All right? Just screw it. And what I mean by that is sometimes we need to not be consistent. For example, I've been doing this podcast. There's like 6 years worth of episodes out there. All right. 6 years worth, 6 times a day for 6 years. And that's pretty consistent. I mean, I have 5 years that have very little repeats, probably 5.5 that have very little repeats. And then I got about 6 months worth that are duplicate shows. But for the most part, over 5 years, now 5 years times 6 days a week, you do the math and you'll figure out exactly how many episodes that I've recorded. But I wasn't getting the result of this podcast that I really wanted. And I was putting a lot of time and effort and work into them. And so I got to the point where I'm like, do I need to be consistent? You know, Albert Einstein, his quote was something like, doing the same thing over and over again and failing is the definition of ignorance or something like that. I don't know. You can look it up. Look up Albert Einstein definition of ignorance. And it's something like if you do the same thing over and over and over again without learning or something like that, it's the definition of ignorance or getting the same results. So to me, if you're being consistent and you're getting the same exact results, day after week after month after year, hey, maybe it's time to rock the boat a little bit because consistency may actually be holding you back. Let that sink in a little bit and ask yourself, is your consistency holding you back from something? Is it holding you back from doing something great? Maybe you're good at what you do, but are you great at what you do? A friend of mine, Jesse Cole, I met him several years ago. He was in the same mastermind group that I was in, and he's the owner of the Savannah Bananas. And one thing that he says is, he had that first book was Find Your Yellow Tux because he has the baseball team, Savannah Bananas, which they're on like this world tour now all over the U.S., and I think they're either going to Canada or Mexico. But it's amazing what he's done to that team. And at first, I didn't like it. But you know what? I wasn't his fan base. I wasn't who he was going after. And one thing that he is not consistent. The team is not consistent. Every one of their games, they come up with new things to do, new ways to really just awe the crowd. And you can look them up, Savannah Bananas. If they come to your town, I would highly recommend you go see them. I haven't seen them in person. I have watched a lot of them on YouTube. I know how diehard and into it that Jesse is. And again, he recommends that you stand out. What are you doing to stand out? Hence him wearing that yellow tux. Because everywhere he went, people see him wearing a yellow tux and be like, what's up with this guy? And maybe they'd go ask him, and there's a conversation starter, right? He can tell them all about the Savannah Bananas. Well, so that's my challenge to you today, kind of. If you are not progressing when you're consistent, I'm telling you right now, you need to shift it up. You need to switch it up a little bit, and you need to come up with something new, a new way maybe to be consistent. And I've heard some of my greatest mentors have said, man, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. But, if you think about it, even the most popular success stories out there they keep improving. They keep coming up with new ways of doing things. They keep making small tweaks and adjusting what they're doing and the processes they're doing, because otherwise they're going to be left in the dust. And, think innovatively. How can you do what you're doing now just a little bit better? And that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. It's going to take me a little while to kind of get in the groove, but I'm hoping that you like this new format. And always tell me, reach out. You can send me an email at paul@clcteam.com. That's PAUL@clcteam.com. Just send me an email and let me know what you think. If you want to be a guest on the show, heck, we could set up a Zoom call and you could be on the show. We'll talk about something. But I just want this to be more relevant. And, if you think about it, consistency is a big leadership topic, because there's a lot of people out there that say leaders have to be consistent. And I used to always agree with that. But I'm even rethinking that a little bit, because if you think about it, you cannot be consistent as a leader. You can't treat everybody exactly the same. Because if you really know your people, you know that some need to be treated a little bit differently. Some need to be talked to a little bit differently. Some need to be given orders and priorities and step-by-step procedures. And some you just tell them what to do and they're going to do it. So you consistently treat other people differently. You consistently treat every team member differently. So if you want to be consistent, I would say be consistent in being inconsistent, switching things up, do things better, do things more innovatively. And it's going to be hard because we get stuck in our habits. So if you have anything to add to this consistency, send me an email. I'll follow up. As I get emails on certain topics, I'm going to follow up like the following week and just talk about it. And I'll give you a shout out on the air. All right. If you like this show, I would please like to invite you to, share it with somebody. And if they know somebody, ask them to share it. But I would love it if you would. And until next time, just please consider coming back and listening again. And I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Saturday, and I'll bring you back with a weekend edition. So until tomorrow, or until next time, as always, run to your challenges. We'll see you.